Today on Bucco Bantr, SaxBoy Billy. You're listening to the Bucco Bantr podcast brought to you by the Just Baseball Media Network. Cue the music.
Rockin' one-on-one, she compliment my taste. Whiskey in my lemonade, cause I like the way it tastes. Best seats at the Pirates game, they let me run the base. Yeah, my time is like my money, cause I can't afford to waste. Wifey is a lawyer, take my date to my dates. Order steak by the plate, sending case after case. Run my race at my pace, clear the grass of the snake.
Adam, welcome back. We delayed our recording one day. We usually go on Wednesdays. It's a Thursday, but it was worth it. Let me tell you that, because we got a very special guest today. It's Mr. SaxBoy Billy himself. Welcome to Bucco Bantr, SaxBoy.
Guys, thank you. This is it's great to see you guys. I went from like seeing you guys every week, maybe multiple times a week, to now this little break. So it's great to see you guys again.
Yeah, man, it's been a minute. We were talking about it off the air a little bit, but yeah, we saw you like it was multiple times a week. And if it wasn't like seeing you in person, it was just like constantly chatting and sending ideas back and forth. And like I miss that, man. Like the off season took that away from us a little bit. And I'm like, we got to get something else going here. And we got plans soon.
We got some plans.
We're in the lab. We're cooking a little bit, but man, like this is way overdue. Like I know like we've been trying to get you on here for a minute, and like the timing now is perfect. And just wanted to, let's shoot the shit, man. Like we're lucky to call you a friend. We got into this around the same time. Like,
oh yeah.
I guess we just want like, our listeners, like they obviously know you from online and all the videos that you put out and your relation with the Pirates. But like, when did your Pirates fandom first start?
Okay. So I was born in Pittsburgh. I think they first came on my radar. I went to like a Three Rivers game in like when I was like 7 years old, maybe. And I remember my mom had a friend who worked at KDKA, and she had behind home plate seats. And I went there. That was my first game ever, was behind home plate. Pretty good start.
Yellow windbreaker, everything.
Yeah. And I was like, this is amazing. And I was so scared that a ball was going to come behind the screen and hit me. I remember that like being a core fear of mine. And then I ate a hot dog and I threw up in my bed that night. Yeah. So
let's go.
It's just like
America's
all these like
pastime, baby. Yeah.
And then, just like my mom and I would go to general admission. My mom is the one who got me into it. We'd go to general admission at Three Rivers. It was $5 for an adult, $1 for a kid. And you could either sit like way up in the bleachers or like right in the outfield. It was kind of like the weirdest, like, do you want a really shitty seat or do you want a pretty good one? And I just went to a bunch of games and yeah, I loved it, man. But I didn't have cable. So I grew up with the Pirates on the radio and Post Gazette, box scores, Baseball America. And every now and then, like Fox Sports Pittsburgh at like a friend's house, I'd catch up on the games. But yeah, just love them. Love the team. Love the Pirates. I would abolish every other sport and just keep baseball, even if it's just watching the shitty Pirates. That's how much like it's man. Like it's my thing. It's like Pirates way up here, then like Steelers like way down there. But
I think we're conditioned to be, growing up in Pittsburgh, I think we're conditioned to be masochists. So I love that. I
hate myself. For
sure.
I just think of all the video games I had as a kid, or like the baseball video games where I'm like, woo, let's play as the Pirates, and like your best players like high 70s. Like,
yeah, it's like I got Brian Giles. We're killing it right now.
Yeah. Dude, none of them had their own unique batting stance when you were playing.
They're just like the avatar players.
It was just the avatar, like
yeah.
It's just like that's just what you grow up with, but you love it. And unfortunately, I moved out of Pittsburgh when they were good, 13 to 15, and I wasn't here. I was in New York. So it's like I've never seen the Pirates be good except for this summer up until, San Diego.
Yeah.
Well, that West Coast trip, man, that was rough, definitely. I mean, let's back it up a little bit. So like who were some of the your favorite players, like for when you first started watching the Pirates? Like I assuming like in the 90s, if you were going to Three Rivers, late 90s.
Yeah, late 90s.
Who did you like watching the most?
Well, the Freak Show was in full force. That was the season I got into it. When we finished like 78 and whatever, and like the division was so bad we were almost in the playoffs. And so like Al Martin, Kevin Young,
KY.
Ed Sprague, Smiling Joe.
Ed Sprague.
Smiling Joe.
That's you bring up Ed Sprague a lot. I've heard you say his name like many times.
I think he was like even only on the team for like half a season or something. Like, and it was so unmemorable. Pat Mears.
Oh my God.
Jermaine Allensworth.
Was Joe Rand on that team?
Smiling Joe.
Yeah.
Smiling Joe.
Yeah. And Esteban Loaiza. I remember the combined no-hitter. That was magical.
I'm pretty sure he's in jail right now.
What's up?
Esteban Loaiza. I'm pretty sure he got he's basically what's his name? Pablo Escobar of Mexico.
Is he in like American jail or is he in like Latin American jail?
Latin American jail, yeah.
Oh, he's see you later, Esteban Loaiza. Although they might like work release him to like, I don't know, coach. I don't know. But yeah, shout out Esteban Loaiza. He had a great career.
He was arrested in 2018 with over 20 kilograms of cocaine.
Yeah.
So, I mean, he was released in 2021. So hey,
okay.
If you're listening, man, come on the show. I don't know if I mean that actually. I haven't looked into any other of his personal life, but let's move on. Yeah. So him, other guys.
Absolutely. You could get him. You could get. I mean, there's so many Pirates from that era. I'm just
like, Tony Womack, such a bland baseball player. Like Tony Womack, that was my guy. Tony Womack was sick.
He had a good year. I mean, in those black. I know. Don't one of you guys have the black Pirates?
I do. Yeah.
Oof, my God. And then that morphs into Brian Giles. That morphs into PNC Park being built. That morphs into, and then that kind of takes to like the early 2000s when I went to Alderdice, and I met this guy, my friend Calvin, whose dad was like, he's like a professor, and he was like early in on the Bill James and all the sabermetrics and the blogs. And then that kind of opened my world up in like 2004, 2005 to like that way of thinking of baseball, which is like, I already love baseball. Now you add this extra layer that I don't get super deep in, but it makes it more interesting, And then there's like the whole early blogosphere of the Pirates in the early 2000s. And yeah, man, it's just been, it's been fun. But it's like I left Pittsburgh in 2009. And, when I moved back last year, I was like, I just want to go to all the games. So I make up for lost time. And I think I did that.
Yeah. I mean, man, it started with just all the home games, which like you quickly became a staple. I mean, like you had some like early videos that blew up and just like wearing the uniform, like the OG SaxBoy, like yellow windbreaker, black sweatpants, hat, sunglasses. Like, was that calculated in your head, or was that just kind of like, hey, this is like what I wore one time, and then this is like how I'm gonna identify? Because like I don't think people know you wearing that stuff, and it's like almost odd seeing you outside of that uniform.
It's because I ride a bicycle everywhere.
Yeah,
and because drivers in Pittsburgh are crazy, and so you got to look like as loud as possible.
Fair.
So I just was like, I'll just wear a giant yellow windbreaker, and then that's literally because I rode a bicycle. That's why I wore it, and then it just ended up kind of sticking, and I was like, screw it. And now it's like, yeah, I mean, it's just like a little gift. Like I had no intention of that happening, but now pretty much every article of clothing I have is Pirates related. That's what
love that.
So my wardrobe is like just all Pirates t-shirts that I bought at the Red, White, and Blue or thrifted or like, so I keep it really simple, man. My life is really simple right now, but I'm just like, I just hijacked the Pirates brand and made it like my brand.
Oh yeah. Love that. I mean, Sax, we know you pretty well from getting to know you over the summer, and we took a trip to Toronto together. We smuggled you across the border. That's something we can get into too. No, but
it wasn't really Sax. It was Ben that gave.
Yeah, it was Ben. We
like, you gotta push Ben down a little bit.
So we know a lot about your life, but you try to pursue a career in comedy. Like, tell us a little bit about that, like your early years going to New York and before you came back to Pittsburgh.
Yeah. So basically, even when I was a kid, I was like, I wanted to be a comedian. I don't know why. I just wanted to do that. And, at that time, it was like pre what the internet is now. There was like such a tiny scene in Pittsburgh. I remember I did some open mics here and there. Like I did like a bringer show at like the Funny Bone in Station Square. It was like so sad. They like didn't turn the heat on. Like I brought like 5 of my friends from Alderdice, and I just was so bad. And I was doing a little comedy in Pittsburgh, but my dad was like, if you want to go do this, you have to go move to New York or a bigger city, just because my dad was a playwright, and he wrote for the city paper in Pittsburgh. And he just was like, look, performance, that specifically, you can't do it in Pittsburgh, or it's very hard.
Yeah.
So I ended up moving to New York, and for like a couple of years there, I was doing just improv stuff with like the UCB. Like I did all their courses and started doing sketch stuff and taking classes. And then I started doing stand-up, and I liked that a lot. And I did stand-up for like 7 years. And then one day at a stand-up show, I started talking to a guy, and I was like out of work at the time, and he said he sold beer, and I was like, what's that like? And he just went on to explain like the easiest job on planet Earth, and you get to drink beer. And I was like, whoa, that sounds really good. And then that's when I jumped into doing that for like 8 years and just didn't do any comedy for a while.
Oh
yeah. So, and it was in the sales world. And then once I moved back to Pittsburgh and I got sober into my early sobriety, I was like, let's go back to doing that again, because I missed it. And I thought I would like lose the skill, but it's worked out pretty well so far. And I just keep on grinding with that now.
You also went to school. Was it before you went to New York? You went to school in Toronto. I think you mentioned that to us on our ride up. You were
it was like a little performance school, but because there was like a performance program up there that I saw in like a paper that Joe Flaherty, who's a Pittsburgher, was apparently teaching some program at the school in Toronto. He wasn't actually. They totally were just duping you with it. That guy was nowhere to be found. And I was like, I got there in like 2 months in. I was like, get me the hell out of here. So yeah, that was a quick trip in Toronto. But Toronto is a great place, and it's a huge city that's so close to Pittsburgh that no one ever like really goes to or thinks
closer than New York City.
Yeah, closer than Chicago is.
Yeah. It was awesome. I mean, that trip was great. And I think that was like, we knew you like well before that, but that was like a really good bonding experience. But like, you've always been online, right? Like, I know you had a Vine account, shout out Vine, like the OG TikTok, and you were making videos back then. And when did that stop? Did that stop like right before you wanted to go make comedy, or did that stop just like when Vine cut off and then like you started to pick back up? Or like, did you always know like, hey, I had that experience. I know how to work the internet, and I know how to like, quote unquote, go viral or make content that people enjoy? Like, when did the Vine start, and when did that end? And how did you know to like get back into that type of content?
The Vine was like 2013. I was like really early, like the first months of Vine. And I was like one of the first people on there. I was recording off of my screen pre-edited content. So like in early Vine, the whole thing was like people painstakingly recorded on their phone. And then like, that was like the big thing. Like when they nailed it, it was like unbelievable. And I was recording on my phone like a pre-made video, and it kind of like blew up, and I got like pretty big on that early. And it just, I was 23, 24. I got to my head. I became an asshole. I didn't like put my time in yet. I just was like, I wasn't like an asshole, but like, you think you're better than you are, bigger than you are. And in turn, I stopped kind of working on my craft as much, and I don't know. And then I started drinking, and then, it's like a 10-year battle with alcoholism, which is still going on. But like, it's like, all this kind of crazy stuff happened around 2013, 2014. And I just stopped doing it, and I just stopped doing comedy and just started drinking all the time, basically, and doing like a sales job of selling beer, which was a great gig, paid me good money, and it was fun up until a point. And then, yeah.
Well, like that stand-up comedy is a grind in itself, man. Like it's late nights, and then like you can get paid in alcohol, essentially.
Yeah.
Right.
No, yeah, especially in New York, like you just didn't get paid at all. It's like
Here's
you
a
just
drink
were there to
ticket.
get better and build with the scene. And like, so many people that I was there with, like so many of them now are, doing awesomely, which is great to see. But they just, a lot of people, like, just when I started with the alcohol, man, I just knew I couldn't stop. Like, it was just like, this is the dominating force in my life now, is the acquiring and drinking of this substance. And a lot of it was because it was like self-medication. I had really bad anxiety and panic problems, and I wasn't medicating at that time. So I used the alcohol as kind of like my equilibrium balance for the anxiety. It was the fact that I'm an alcoholic. And yeah, just kind of, it was a tough 9-10 years there where I wasn't doing the thing that I loved. But looking back on it now, I remember being like 23, 24, writing stand-up and being like, wow, this really is a life not worth examining, like, what am I writing about? You know what I mean? I haven't even lived a life, I started doing comedy really young, 18, 19, up until 24, 25, 26, and I had nothing to write about. I hadn't lived a life. And now I lived a totally life in between. I've got stuff to draw from, experiences. And yeah, I mean, I wouldn't have it any other way. Yeah.
Talk about your life in between. You mentioned to us, and I don't know how much you want to touch on this, but you moved to Mongolia for a while, which I found fascinating because I don't know anyone who's ever been to Mongolia. Tell us about that.
Yeah.
Like, what was that experience like?
So, around COVID, I met a lady who we got married and is now my ex-wife. Still really tight with her, but she's from Mongolia. She's Mongolian. And we got married because she had to go. She was a Fulbright scholar, and she had to go back to fulfill her scholarship. If you're a Fulbright scholar, you get to go to school for free in the United States, but then you have to take the great wisdom you've learned from the United States and go back to your country for 2 years and impart that on, the place you're moving back to. That's kind of the thing. So the whole time we were in the relationship, we knew she had to go back. And I was just like, you know what? Screw it. My life's going nowhere. I'm, drinking all the time and like just, miserable, and maybe moving to Mongolia will fix my life.
That's usually the place that people
that's
think
the play,
first.
right? Yeah. And it's like, no, it made it 10 times worse. 10 times worse. Booze over there is like 20 cents for like a giant jug of it. It's like the quality of it is like below our well in the United States. It's so bad. And I drank myself into a Mongolian rehab facility for 17 days.
Whoa.
I was in a rehab facility in Mongolia. They didn't speak any English. And I was like looking around at my life and I was like, what? How did I get here? And even that wasn't the bottom. That's how crazy alcohol is and addiction is.
Yeah.
Like,
oh my God. I
remember I was in the rehab in Mongolia, and one of the guys in there was like a movie star in Mongolia. and he would come into my room and just like talk to me in Mongolian. And
just smile, I didn't know what to say.
Yeah, just like, yeah, it's great, man. And he'd like turn around his pictures and like show me pictures of like him in like movies and stuff.
That's crazy. I mean, like yeah, go on, man. Go on.
It's not a big knocking culture because everybody in Mongolia grows up in gers, which are those yurts.
Yeah.
And it's very like communal, and like people don't like knock on doors. They just
There's no
walk
privacy.
in.
Yeah.
Yeah. The privacy is like, so the guy would just like random times, like 11 p.m., just like walk in and sit in my bed and just like look at me.
That'll sober you up probably. It's
yeah.
Like,
you would think. No, I still had to get a second bottom and freaking when I came back to the States. Dude, I have so many crazy stories from Mongolia.
Well, you told us a couple on the way up to Toronto, but you also you got a job teaching, which I found fascinating. I mean,
considering you don't speak Mongolian.
Yeah.
Or I'm not a teacher.
You're just not a teacher.
Or I've never taught a day in my life.
You went to school for comedy and you're teaching in a Mongolian school. That's pretty funny.
Let's just say I'm a white guy. And that one I should probably let some time pass before I.
Fair. That's fair.
Yeah.
That's fair. But I mean, like you thought like, hey, like this might be like some type of solution, and it ended up making your situation worse, or like it just like it was just like it wasn't going to like be a thing where it's like, hey, I make one change and then like that's like the solution to all my problems. It kind of did it like it unfolded in Mongolia, and then did you come back right after that, or was it like you had to stay over there for an extended period of time?
Yeah, so it's it is a big thing in like recovery. It's like people, places, things, and like you try to change that and you think it's going to change stuff, but your problems go with you everywhere, you know what I mean? Because so yeah, basically it got so bad over there, and and they didn't have like help. Like AA was just getting to Mongolia, and again, I don't speak Mongolian, so I actually there was an NA meeting they had in English, which is Narcotics Anonymous, which that's not something I belong to, because I'm just, I'm an addict, but it's alcohol is my thing. And I went to like 3 meetings of that, and it was like 6 people, and they said it was in English, but only like 2 of the other people spoke English. So I would walk in and they just like looked at me the entire time. And then they would just ask me questions about America.
Yeah.
It's like, this isn't really helping my sobriety that much. But so I moved back to Pittsburgh, and I moved in with my dad. And my dad was like, you can move in with me, but you can't drink, and you have to go to meetings. You have to go to AA meetings. And I was like, yeah, sure, whatever. Like I had no other options really at that point. I moved in with him, and that was last year. That was in October. I moved in with him, like, yeah, I'll be sober. I was sober for probably, 4 days. And then I started sneaking off drinking, sneaking alcohol into the house, kept just relapsing. I couldn't get more than 2 or 3 days of sobriety under my belt. I was going to meetings, but nothing was really resonating. And then last year, my sobriety date's on the 27th. Last year, I just had my dad was like, look, I know you're hiding drinking. I know this and that. We got to talk about this. And basically I was just like, this is how much of my insanity I was in of alcoholism. I had just been to Mongolia, where I drank myself into a detox facility for 17 days. I come back to Pittsburgh. I'm lying. My dad confronts me, and my solution was, I just got really angry. I was like, you know what? Screw you. I'm moving to Chicago. So I ran up to
closer
to
Mongolia, I guess.
Yeah. I was like, I don't know why in my head I was like, Chicago. I was like, because I had a really fun time when I would go drink in Chicago. I was like, they understand I'll figure out how to drink in Chicago. And I packed a suitcase and I went to Chicago. And basically I got a hotel room at the Ohio River Hotel in downtown Chicago, and then just like didn't leave a hotel room for like 4 days, and had like 5 bottles of vodka, and basically drank myself into hallucination. Basically somewhere in there, like I called my mom and be like, hey, can you help me? My mom, she's Mexican, she flew up from Mexico to Chicago. My poor mom, I made her spend that money. She came into my hotel room. I had like not eaten. It was just like a sight. There was like puke on the side of the bed. And I was like, I have to go to the emergency room. So December 27th, 23, went to the ER in Chicago. And that's where it was the greatest day of my life, because I finally surrendered. And I was like, okay, I give up. I can't drink like a normal human being. If I drink, I will die. That's it. It's a matter of when. You know, I've already died. I almost died twice last year from alcohol poisoning, from that kind of stuff. And I just can't do it. The second I get alcohol into me, I become a crazy person. And it's nonstop until, you know, it's nonstop. The rails come off. So it was there in Chicago in that ER room. And I remember I asked the doctor, I was like, hey, is this the hospital that ER is based on? And he was like, yeah, it is. And I was like, oh, that's sweet. And I'm like hallucinating, but I'm like, oh, at least I'll die in the ER hospital. I'll go out in the ER hospital. There's something to it, but
oh man,
it's just like that's and there's so much other crazy stuff in between, but that's what led me to sobriety. That was my sober date. I did 4 days in a hospital, kind of like they do this detox. Then I flew home and I went to Gateway Aliquippa, where I was for 22, 23 days. And that place is a goddamn trip. And then, and then I was looking for stuff to do in early sobriety, got the ballpark pass, started going to all the games, and then I started making videos again about the Pirates, and then boom, that's how it all started. That's how.
I was going to say, you've been definitely an influence for me and for a lot of people, I think, in the Pirates world, and just being very open about your experiences, you know, with alcoholism and stuff like that. But I was going to ask, and I think you just answered it, like, was getting really like into the content creation around the Pirates and making content like a way for you to, like, I don't know, reach a high or like a
100%.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
It's like shit. It's like switching addictions a little bit, because
sure,
there is, you know, when you put out this stuff, there is social media, there's an addiction element to it. You know what I mean? But it's, you know, it's a creative one. You know what I mean? It's like it's one you could turn into a job, and one that doesn't poison you. Sure, and you know, yeah. So I mean, it probably poisons you in different ways, you know. But yeah, it 100% was switching addiction. My process just switched it from alcohol 24/7 to recovery and content creation. And I basically, if you see, like, you could just see how my brain works, right? Like, I didn't want to go to one game. I wanted to go to all the games, including the ones like on the road. You know what I mean? Like, when you have like a brain like mine, like, you want all the stuff. You can't get enough of something.
Sure.
And that's just how the addict's brain works. And so it ended up working out. And I give baseball a lot of credit. I give the Pirates a ton of credit for early recovery, because baseball is a long, slow sport. It's something that's daily, so you can build a routine around it. And you know, it's a good companion.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you made an impact almost immediately. Like, the team quickly learned about like who you were, like, just from like the people that we know in the organization constantly talking about Bucco fever and like the early videos. Like, that's got to feel good to like grow up loving this team and then like switch gears into content creation centered mainly around the Pirates, at least early on in the era of SaxBoy. But like, you talked about like switching addiction, right? And like, social media could be a tough place at times. Like, you're going to put a lot out there, and the goal is like, hey, I'm just going to pump content out, right? There's a lot of like pushback on a lot of stuff. I mean, I know we get like people commenting like bad stuff on like some videos that we post, and like, I know like you've dealt with it as well, like people like not on board for just whatever reason. Like, has that been like a struggle like in your game, or like have you learned to like just like, hey, like, I'm like keeping like my lane and I'm going to keep pushing forward no matter what?
Yeah. So how do I talk about this? It's kind of like the nice thing about like how I live my life now is like, I just don't lie. I just don't lie at all. And I try to, like, I don't know, just live completely truthfully, because And with the account, I just don't think, I think I came out of nowhere and people are like, what the fuck? And people are like, who's this rich guy? Who's this rich guy that's going to all the games and has all this time in the world? And it's like, this is the first time I've really talked about, my addiction, just you guys, like on this sort of level, like with this sort of depth, like, wait, what was I saying? But when like living truthfully, it hurt me at first when people were like, they would call me a grifter, and then I was like, people were like giving me money to like, go to games and stuff. I was like, oh man, this really sucks, because when you know like how like much money that was like donoed to me, it's like it's so insignificant towards the overall cost of these trips.
Right.
Yeah.
It's like, and then I don't want, it's like such a small portion of it. And I wasn't ready at that time to explain like my whole journey. Like, oh, I'm a recovering alcoholic. I'm living at my dad's house. Oh, I took 10% out of my 401k early. And I'm going to do the same thing the following year. That's how I'm paying for this stuff. Cause I had a real sales job for years and years where I accrued this 401k, and that's what so it hurt my feelings just because I wasn't ready to talk about my story yet. And to be like, here's how I got the money for this stuff. I'm so thankful for the people that helped me out early on. Unbelievable. If you helped me early in my account, you're like this with me, like forever. That's like the connections I made, like with you guys. I mean, it's like, these are like serious connections of a very vulnerable point of my life. And, so I don't even know if I answered the question, but
no, you did, man.
It stunk, but then it's like, it really honestly was the best thing possible, because I got that like backlash really early on, and then now like none of it phases me whatsoever.
Yeah.
Because people, I don't know, that's
online, man. That's just like,
it's
people
online,
are gonna do whatever they want to do. It's like there's no control. Like once you learn like you can only control what you can control. Like,
exactly.
You live a much happier life.
Yeah.
Also, my account, I'm not really an X or Twitter account anymore, and that seems to be where a lot of the toxicity is.
Yeah.
So yeah, whatever.
I mean, you mentioned before, like you felt like you had to explain yourself when people called you a grifter and stuff like that. Like, you really don't have to explain yourself. You don't have to come forward about your alcoholism and your story and stuff like that. But you have, and I feel like that's admirable. Like, you being honest, like, you don't know like the type of people that you might be reaching when you do that. But also, like, I just find it odd.
Also, you're a grifter in my opinion.
Yeah. Also, you are a grifter. Someone,
give me my money back.
No, but also, like, I find it hard to get mad at someone who is like having genuinely a great time following the Pirates around. Like, I think
hard to do. It's a very difficult task. Yeah.
You went to like a lot of road games. You followed the team around, and you promoted the Pirates, the Pittsburgh Pirates. Like, to me, that is amazing and worth a follow from everyone that's a Pirates fan. So
you would think.
You would think. I commend you. There's not really a question here. I just commend you, man, because you definitely brightened the season. I know we started off hot this year and then tailed off in the second half, but you were definitely one of the bright spots, I would say, for this Pittsburgh Pirates team this year.
Thank you, man. And I would hope that people see I'm doing these trips on a budget.
Yeah.
I'm flying. Like, so I would hope people see how I do it and use it as a template. You can go to these games. You know what I mean? Like, just don't get a hotel that's right by the stadium. Get a cheap Airbnb. Don't get a rental car. Just use public transit. You know what I mean? Fly with just a backpack. Don't bring a suitcase with 8,000. If you just do those three things, you're going to cut $400, $500 off the trip. And, travel in the United States is not that expensive. It's if you do it correctly.
Yeah. I mean, I remember when you texted us like right before you decided to do like all the stadium tour basically. And you're like, hey boys, like doing it Grateful Dead style. Like we're on. And I think I still have the text message because I was like, one, like the first reaction's like, that's a lot of travel. Like that's a ton. And like I know
And
like
it's
towards
for the Pirates.
it's for the Pirates. So like just the mental toll that it has to take on a human being alongside like the physical toll of traveling. But like, and I know like towards the end of the year, like it's probably like, oh my God, like
You guys
let's
got to
wrap it
also
up, boys.
understand when, for like 4 or 5 years, like post COVID, my drinking was so isolating. I wasn't leaving like my block in New York. On my block, I had a grocery store, I had my liquor store, I had 4 bars. I didn't like, my world became so tiny and small and just became myself drinking alone in a dark room that once I got this, like, enter the 4th dimension of life without, drinking and being like, oh my God, there's a lot of world to explore. I got to like really get a jump start on this. And so it was just like, man, it was incredible. It was so much fun.
Yeah, man. I like, what was it like? Cause I know like, even when we were in Toronto, there's people like, hey, like SaxBoy, what's up, man? Like, and then obviously at PNC Park, anytime we were with you, it's like, love your videos. Like, oh, you're getting all this recognition.
Asking for pics.
Pictures, like all that stuff. Like, what did that, like, that has to be huge. Like, just getting like this recognition off of something like, honestly, you didn't start that long ago. And then like people are seeing it, like they're associating you with the Pirates. They expect to see you around the park, like just giving you like, hey, like dapping you up. I love your stuff. Like, what impact did that have on you?
It just shows you how different the internet is now compared to when I was doing Vine back in the day. It's just these micro niches, these niches and these algorithms. It's, if you have an interest like something like the Pirates and you're making content like about the Pirates, that's like, people that are Pirates fans are going to see that, you know what I mean? And, cause I got recognized when you guys, the first opening day, when we first met, when you guys first asked me to do that, cause that was a big deal for me. You guys were like the first Pirates people I talked to really in person. And then Bobby, Bobby Cat.
Yeah.
Bobby,
shout out Bobby.
He was the first guy that recognized. I didn't know him at the time. And I was like, wow, that is amazing that people recognize me from that. And it's just sweet, man. It's just like, it made me feel like, okay, I'm doing the right thing. This is crazy, but I'm blessed with a living situation where I rent free. I have this pot of money I can go to and just keep on growing, because as the season puttered along, I could really feel it up until, dude, New York, that Friday New York game was truly a pinch me moment, bro. There was a welcome SaxBoy and friend thing that got played on the Yankee Stadium screen.
No way.
Yeah. Did you guys not see it?
No.
I didn't see that. No.
People were like yelling to me when I got my dad's friend from high school. He went to Langley in Pittsburgh, works for the Yes Network. So he got me the seats. People were yelling at me I was like right behind the Pirates dugout. People were like yelling at me from the stands. Like I was getting like points from like Mitch Keller and some of the boys down there. And then on the subway home, I got recognized. In the subway in New York, I got recognized 7 times. I counted it. And it's like, holy shit. I almost died twice last year. Like dead. Like, it's like, and then, it just was like, okay, I'm onto something here. And, now it's like about, eventually monetizing. Got to turn this into a job, right?
Yeah.
But we had this, like all of us together, we had that whole fun season, like, and now we're going to attack this season together. You know what I mean? Like, it's kind of like, we're in the same universe, the 3 of us. Right. So it's going to be a fun year. And, my content has changed significantly away from the Pirates. I wear the Pirates gear in all my videos, but it's, you know, there's a ceiling when your content is the most insignificant sports franchise in American sports.
Nah,
Probably not the most insignificant, but
it's up there for
It's
sure.
up there.
It's up there for sure. So that brings me into like this coming year, man. Like
Hell yeah, boys.
we had a great year, 2024. We kind of came onto the scene at the same time, which was fun. What's in store for 2025? Like, I know you've been doing a lot of like city content, going around different parts of Pittsburgh. You were just in Johnstown for the longest time I think anyone's ever visited Johnstown. But what's in store for 2025, man?
I got lots of plans. When it comes to the Pirates, I'm going to target the places I didn't get to last year.
Okay.
And then I'm going to kind of be selective about it. There's one road stretch that you guys should try to get to because this is sick. You guys know it. It's 9 games on the road: Seattle, Kansas City, Minneapolis.
That's in July, I think.
Yeah,
So,
it's like a 11 games are on the road.
The only one I haven't been to there is Kansas City, and I heard it's great. I know Shore's been there, but I've been to Seattle, Minneapolis is great. Yeah.
Minneapolis seems like they all seem like my kind of town, but
yeah.
It's that one I'm 100% going to do. I'm going to do Baltimore. I'm going to do Philadelphia. I'm going to do Boston. I'm not sure about the Angels because I went to the Dodgers last year. There's some other ones I'm not sure of. But I'm getting pretty close. I'm like 9 stadiums away from seeing all of them.
Wow.
And I'll probably end the year with like 2 or 3 left. I don't know if I'm going to go to Tampa because they're going to be playing in that minor league stadium.
Right.
Yeah. It's a nice minor league stadium for what it's worth, but not a major league stadium.
Yeah, but it's like the ticket prices might be like super high.
Yeah.
Right.
And we'll just have been in Florida.
Did you go to the Coliseum?
No, that was the trip before I went to Milwaukee last year.
That's right.
So
you do like any commemorative stuff? Like, do you take a token from each stadium or like anything that like you hold like or value from each trip?
Not really, man, because I'm not really like a memorabilia guy. Like I have like no.
I mean, you have the
really.
video. You have the videos.
I have the videos. Yeah. I used to have a baseball. I would have people sign it at every stop, but then I was like,
I remember that.
Like,
I remember. I think you started talking about that idea on our way to Toronto because the guy they gave you the ball and it was signed by like Brian Reynolds, and you're just like how funny would it be if just everybody else signed this ball?
No, I just like I had random ass people sign it, and then you know what it is? It's kind of a pain in the ass carrying a baseball around.
Yeah, you're telling us, dude.
It's true.
You're telling us. Yeah,
you're walking around. You got like this like orb sticking out of your pant pocket. You're like, geez, I look like a loser with this baseball.
That story of our life, dude.
There were like 4th, 5th innings. I'm like, dude, we got to tell someone they answered this trivia question because I want to get rid of this baseball.
Carrying around. I mean, we got the big camera with us, and the ball and everything. Next year, we're gonna have much more equipment with us too, and we got like a lot more plans. Ooh. But and we got some good content ideas that you might have seen in our group chat already, but we got to run by you as well because
I love it.
Yeah,
we're for the account, I'm just gonna keep on. I'm gonna keep on doing budget travel.
Yeah.
Because I think that's funny. And also I want to, like, when I went to Johnstown, I want to do this thing where I travel through Western Pennsylvania like it's Europe, no cars, just riding the rails or riding whatever. And then I want to do every stop in between Pittsburgh and Harrisburg and like showcase those towns. Wow, and I don't know. I got to do a bunch of stuff. I'm going to Myrtle Beach coming up, which is like, I hear it's like Pittsburgh South a little bit.
Okay.
Doing Charleston, I'm doing Bradenton, which I don't know if you guys go ahead.
Let's get into it because
let's talk about that. Yeah.
You mentioned Myrtle Beach, and I know you put a little story out on Instagram, like, hey, like here's how I budgeted Myrtle Beach, Charleston, and then Bradenton, and that's a good transition right there, right? Because going into 2025, we're already going in with a bang. We got a content house going, SaxBoy.
Content house, baby.
Content house. We are us 3 are going to Bradenton the week of March 13th, I believe.
17th, 13th. It's like St. Patrick's Day, I think. that weekend?
Yeah.
I'm going like 3 more days than you guys are, but
Okay.
yeah.
So let me pull it up here.
I'm going
Yeah,
the 11th to the 17th,
Yep.
and you guys will be there the 15th to the.
We'll be there the 13th through the 16th, and then you'll be
There you go.
joining us at our house with our other friend, also named Adam, and we are going to have a blast, dude.
Oh, yeah.
It's going to be such a fun time. So, announcement: Bucco Bantr, SaxBoy, Bradenton, 2025. We're going to see so many people down there. It's going to be so fun. Have you been to spring training?
Yeah, I've been a couple
Okay.
times.
Yeah, it's a blast, man. Like we went first like as Bucco Bantr last year, and like we were kind of fish out of like the water. Like we had no idea what we were doing content wise. Like we were two scared individuals walking around with like mini mics and a camera. We got rejected like twice, and we're like, all right, we're done. We're never doing this again. like this is like quick story. Like we talked.
Well,
to
you
a
guys
kid.
went down there last year at the mini mics and just got.
Oh
like,
yeah,
shot.
yeah.
that was like
Oh,
our
yeah.
first thing. Like we're like, all right.
Yeah.
We're launching this. We're gonna go down with the mini mics. We like it all worked out in our head. I shit you not. 2 people in, we got 2 rejections. Done. No more.
We had a guy that was full head to toe in Pirates gear, and we're like, you want to answer a few questions? He's like, I'm actually not a Pirates fan. I'm from Toronto. I'm like, could have fooled me. So
black and yellow shoes,
yeah,
Pirates pants, a new Pirates jersey, like stitched
yeah.
Pirates hat. He's like, nah. He's like, you got the wrong guy. I'm like, I don't.
He wasn't doing a goof.
He wasn't doing a goof, dude.
I will say this
That's
though,
Florida.
we're gonna be
Yeah.
down there for the breakout game or whatever that's called.
Yeah, spring breakout. Yeah,
Spring breakout. We were there last year when it was the Orioles versus the Pirates, and it was like Jackson
remember that
Holiday
game.
versus Paul Skeens. That was amazing because Adam and I had good seats. This year, I think it's at Clearwater for the Phillies.
Yeah.
At the Phillies facility. Should be a really good event again. Like there was a lot of big people there, big names, and you definitely content driven for sure. So I'm excited for that again, and especially with all of us going there this year.
Yeah, honestly, it's going to be my like the second that I left at Yankee Stadium, I haven't done a lot of like Pirate centric content. So just be like my Pirates Fest is coming up, which I'm going to go to.
Ooh, yeah,
We'll be there.
That's
that's
a little less than a month now. Pirates.
You guys
Fest.
bringing those mini mics?
Oh yeah, we're bringing the mini mics.
When did you guys get the courage? Because like, you guys, I love the idea of like shy you guys because you guys are awesome with those mini mics.
Yeah, like it definitely clicked for us like a couple weeks into probably like the season, I'd say, Scott.
Yeah.
When you're like, oh, people want to be on these.
Yeah. Listen, like shout out Total Sports Enterprises
That
for
helped
like
for sure.
Shout
partnering
out
with
those
us
guys.
and like sending us, the signed baseballs. That definitely helped us transition to like, hey, like people want free shit, right? Like people want the chance to win something. So that gave us, and then just like getting over the fear of rejection, right? Like we're here we're here at the stadium 4 times a week. Like we get it. Like, and here throughout the whole season, we maybe had 5 people say no. Like when you actually like think about it, like no, everybody for the most part wants to do it. Even if like it's a group of friends, 3 of them will say no, but usually one of them wants to get like on the mic. So I count that as like a yes. But yeah, man, like it was terrifying. Like I don't know what we thought. Like I think we were just like a little bit overzealous when it came to like thinking we were content creators, because we absolutely were not. Like at that point we probably did 6 podcasts and we probably had 50 followers on Twitter.
I think you just have to get used to being getting comfortable with being uncomfortable, because that's what I feel like helped me get over the hump. I mean, I remember like mid-season, like after the All-Star break, being out in the center field area where we usually are. And one of the guys that works at the bar goes to me and says, "What are you guys asking today?" It's like, he knew us. He remembered us. And I was like, okay. So like, we're like regulars. Like they expect us to be out here. Like this is like normal now. Like, it's not like we're just like starting from the bottom.
Yeah.
So it was just getting over that hump.
I would say like it all, like similar to you, man. Like it got to a point where like people are DMing us to be like, "Hey, are you at the stadium? I want to get on the mic." Or like, "Oh, dude, like, hey, I listened to the podcast. Can I get on the mic?" So it's like that helped as well.
We came to get like, we're such a perfect like complementary thing to each other.
Oh yeah, 100%. Like same came around. Like you said, the exact same time. Like you were probably like our first mini mic.
That's
Like
funny.
I'm pretty
Opening
sure-
day, for
yeah,
sure.
opening
Yep.
day. Like,
And I didn't
think-
even go to that game. I was just there to like to make a video.
yeah, like we met you out on Federal Street. It was love at first sight. You answered our questions, we
love
dapped you up, and then like ever since then, like we've been in a group chat, like we swing ideas off of each other. Like,
Oh yeah.
I'm like proud to say like you sent us videos and like be like, hey, like does this work? And like we send you videos like, hey, do you get that? And like you've been instrumental for me and like just learning how to edit, because like I'll like put together a video and I'll send it. You'd be like, all right, like cut this down a minute, like take this out. Does this make sense? And I'm like, fuck, you're right. Like, let's do this. And like it helps to have that community, like to like have these type of people around you. So like we're grateful like for you, for everything that you've done for the Pirates community. It's gonna continue to get bigger, man. It's gonna blow up this year. Like
all of us, yeah.
The excitement that we've had just like between Scott and I mean, I wouldn't say we don't have to do this, but like we do the podcast multiple times a week. Like we're constantly talking Pirates, and it's going to be nice to like get out there with like our community again. Like we've already built something so special within a year. I think it's just going to take off even more.
Yeah, that was another nice thing too, is like that we both constantly are producing. We're not like, you know what I mean? Like this isn't we're here to stay. You know what I mean? So yeah, I'm stoked, and we're gonna be doing a lot more together this year. And starts with the content house. Maybe we'll get a sponsor.
Yeah, listen, hey, that's a good time too.
Gallagher's, Turner's.
I see. Yeah, whoever wants it. If you're listening to the podcast,
Penn Mac.
Listen, Penn Mac, Italian grocery. Give us all the gabagool. Like, listen, I'm being serious. So, like, if you're listening to the podcast and like you want to get your business out there, like we're gonna have something special cooking, and it's gonna last throughout the year. But spring training, especially, there's gonna be a lot of content with a lot of viewers, a lot of listeners, and you know, if you want to help us out, feel free to reach out to Sax or us on socials. And I think Sax, this would be a good time for you to plug. I'm sure everybody listening to our show knows you, but plug where people can find you on social media.
At SaxBoy Billy 18, Instagram, YouTube, Twitter, TikTok. Those are the ones that I'm on. Mostly I'm Instagram, I think, has become my number one. But
Instagram's popping, man.
Yeah, it is.
Woo-wee. It is.
I want to take notes off your Instagram, man. It's definitely popping, and you're doing big things. I do want to say that although this team may not be overly exciting,
are we going to have a winner this year? Are we going to have? Are we going to be over 500?
I hope so. I'm pessimistic right now, but there's a lot of off season left. Okay. I want to say that I think this community is really being built up. People talking about the Pirates and people trying to drive excitement about the Pirates. So I think, you know, I don't want to toot our horns too much, but I think we all play an integral role in like trying to spread awareness about the Pirates and excitement. And I'm really excited. I think we got in at the right time. We got Paul Skeens, we got Jared Jones. We got a young team that has some really legit potential, legit potential to carry this team to the next level. We just got to add around it, and we're going to drive the content there. So
it's going to be an interesting team for the next 3 years.
Yeah.
Man. I mean, at least interesting. That would be a word, you know, like you know what I mean?
Yeah. Listen, like, I mean, like the off season gives you a lot of times to think, and like with off season rumors, you also have time to romanticize the Pirates and like dream on things. But then you also have times to like really just like dig your feet in and be like the same old Pirates. Nothing's going to happen. But like, I love it either way. You know what I mean? Like that.
Here's kind of my thing. Good. Here's where I made the mistake last year. It was, I will ride with the Pirates 100,000% until it gets to the point of insignificant, meaningless baseball. And then I'm out.
It's tough.
And that's where I screwed up last year, as I booked this trip to like going back to Cincinnati and like going to Cincinnati and watching like just meaningless baseball. It's like, oh
yeah,
God.
That's rough. That's what like we preach. We're like, hey, listen, like after the All-Star break and like into September, as long as like, even if there's no like playoff baseball in sight, if there's no wild card, like meaningful games, like just like
meaningful games past the point of last year into September would be excellent. I mean, I just know that we're going to have, a great pitcher pitching every 5 days now. Right. So there's kind of like, that's something, there's something, you know what I mean? Like that could be 5 more wins, 6 more wins. I don't know.
No, I think it could be more than that if they score more than 1 run a game too. Like very easily. Like I think they got to add bats, man, and that's something that we've been.
If we just perform, if we just hit at not even an average level, like a below average level, like, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah. Listen, man, it's just it's the state of baseball. Like you gotta make moves. It's like the old saying, like you got to spend money to make money, right? And like they literally just signed you. They did sign me. I've become very aware that I look very much like Spencer Horwitz over the past.
You really do, man. You really do.
I did not know that.
Like a yoked, like Jewish fella. If you,
I'll
don't
take
mind me
it.
saying.
Yeah, listen. How dare you? No, I'll take yoked Jewish guy all day. Let's go.
I thought you looked a little bit more like Josh Naylor, but Spencer Horwitz too.
Yeah, Josh Naylor, Spencer Horwitz, one and the same. But like, I put maybe I'll put the photo on social media. I like took a cutout of my face and then I put it next to his face because I'm like, I don't get it. And then I put it next to him. I'm like, oh shit. Like this is I look.
He's not a bad looking guy.
No, he's not a bad looking guy.
It's better than Mr. Bean, which is what I get. Like,
yeah, listen, I'll take it. It could be
I'll take
lot
some
worse. Yeah, it could be a lot worse. I'll take starting first baseman for the Pittsburgh Pirates, man. And like speaking of that, like, hey, they made some moves, right? Like, so while people were kind of upset with Luis Ortiz being gone, and like everybody loves Louis, he was great. He's gonna kill it in Cleveland, but like they did make a move to like they did get better in that sense. Like they did add a bat, and I think time will tell. Like Scott said, there's gonna be a couple more months of off season before we get into spring training, which means there's going to be a couple more months of crazy rumors being thrown around and trades. And this team's going to ultimately get better through trades because they're not going to spend money. Right. So hopefully more moves like Spence Horwitz are going to happen where it's like not like a Juan Soto type signing, but a signing that's going to push the needle in the right direction.
Yeah. Cause I was around the team so much. And like I observing them from kind of like I like ball. I can talk ball. Like I'm interested in ball, but like Luis Ortiz, that's gonna stink, man. He was a good dude. He was great with the fans. He was you could see him like his confidence pick up throughout the season. He started walking out with the starters once he kind of got his swag going, even though his English wasn't good. You could tell that because the starting rotation was just a bunch of English speakers. And then it would be him just kind of like he was the only one in that group that didn't speak English. And then you could see he became like one of the boys because that's easily our best group of guys. And I mean, he saved the season. He saved the season.
Yeah.
Last year.
He did, man. He really did.
And he's a good dude. And if you follow him he's private on Instagram, but if you follow him, he's got some of the wildest Instagram lives.
Bro, he really does. He really does.
It's him like drinking in the DR or like him and his like uncle's drinking. I don't know if he's drinking, but in like a river in the DR. And it's just like, why are you putting this out there to the world?
It's like at Leandro Ortiz, I think.
Yeah. I mean,
you ever go on TikTok and see TikTok lives where it's like a bunch of like people like
that's what he's doing.
Like that's what it feels like when you like it's like 10 of his friends. I don't know. It's
nuts. It's nuts. But shout out him, man. Like he would anytime we tagged him in like player of the game or we put him in like our lineups like to preview a game, he reposted it every single time. Like every single time he would share it on his story. Like despite maybe there being some disconnect earlier on in the year and like him getting more comfortable, like he was like definitely a fan favorite and he was nasty. Like don't get me wrong, like we talked about him being like a part of the starting rotation next year, right, Scott? Like his fastball combination, like it's like Lance Lynn-esque where it's like, yeah, he's gonna throw 4 of the same type of pitch, but it's all gonna move in a different direction. So like good luck. Like you pretty much have to guess on every pitch on like where it's going to move. So if anyone's going to be able to like up his game to the next level, it's going to be
the Guardians.
Oh my God.
Yeah. But I hope that I think the players are, you know, when we got this Spencer Horowitz, I was like, I have more Instagram followers than this guy. Like, can we maybe acquire some players that I don't have more Instagram followers than? Like, what are we doing here?
Maybe you're next, dude. You're next. You're the next.
That has to go on a quote card.
I'm like, what the hell is going? Like, this is ridiculous. But I'm hoping to, because the Pirates, they're giving me field access when I want it, but I don't try to ask. I've only asked for, they only gave it to me once, and I try not to ask for it because I just like being whatever.
Yeah.
But then I'm starting to get like Alika Williams is like a fan of the account, and he said, and it's like I know that people around the team are like fans of the account, and hopefully they see my account and they start like I want to walk on the steps with Pirates and interview them while walking the steps,
like city steps.
Yeah, the city steps.
Oh yeah.
Easily. How good would that be? Like,
that's great.
Just to like walk with like you know, whoever, name a pirate up, like get some like crazy hilarious
G1 Bay.
Yeah. And like stuff
maybe
like
not
that.
G1.
Hopefully I'm getting to the point where like I can be like, you know, look, my videos get a ton of views, you know what I mean? I'm not doing anything crazy, like, and then because I know they're starting to go on your podcast.
Yeah.
It's like you would hope these guys would like start to collab with us a little bit. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, like I think that's a big part too. Like I'm like happy we're talking about this because you have like your main media sources, right? Like you have like the fan radio, you have Sportsnet, and like obviously like the main media outlets. But I think it's like important for players to connect with their community, and like I think most people get their Pirates news from podcasts or like online. So like what better way to like relate to the fans and like actually talk ball, you know what I mean? Like Nick Gonzalez came on the podcast, and like if you hear him talk on 93.7 The Fan, like a post-game interview, it's very like no, they don't want to be talking to those guys, you know what I mean? Like they know they don't know ball. And then they know they just like played a whole game. They don't want to like talk to somebody who's just like going to criticize every move that they have. So like I think it was like telling, like seeing him come on a local show and like actually break down like his game. Like I think that translates to just every other player out there. And like if we're able to get more guys on Bucco Bantr, if like you're able to get guys to come and like be part of the SaxBoy universe, like that is going to be massive. I think we're not far off.
I think it's going to be a big year for all of us. And these guys, you know, they're young guys. They like, I wish they were more involved in like Pittsburgh, you know what I mean? Because they all go away for like whatever. They all go to Arizona, California, Texas, Florida, whatever. But like once they're here, like, you know, this city is a baseball town because like the city itself is a baseball town because everybody goes to games all the time. And I feel like that could up their experience in Pittsburgh is if they start like coming on some stuff that's non-traditional and that will get into people's Instagram feeds, and like it'll up their star value to like collaborate with us.
100%, man. Sax, it was a long time coming, and like we're so thankful that you were able to make your podcast debut in the Pirates community here on Bucco Bantr, and we're looking forward to the content house, spring training, and then everything that this season has to come. One more time, where can everybody find you?
Just at SaxBoy Billy, especially the Instagram. If you don't follow me on Instagram, pop over there. I appreciate it.
Yeah, absolutely. Scott, you got anything?
No, just really appreciate you coming on, Sax. And I know this has been a long time coming. And I'm sure it won't be the last time.
Let's keep doing it.
Let's keep doing it. And I'm really excited for spring training. I think 2025 is going to be a big year for all of us. So cheers to that.
Absolutely. Well, hey, as always, we appreciate our listeners. If you're listening on any streaming platform, make sure you download the episode, leave a 5-star review. Let us know what you like about the episode. Let us know what you hate about the episode. Or if you don't like it, just don't tell anybody. That's none of their business. If you're watching it, you want to see our stupid faces, go over to YouTube, hit subscribe, share it, leave a comment, like the video, and of course, go get your Bucco Bantr merch at buccobantr.com for all of your holiday gifts. And until next time, raise it.
Raise it.
Rockin' 101, shit, she compliment my taste. Whiskey in my lemonade, cause I like the way it tastes. Best seats at the Pirates game, they let me run the base. Yeah, my time is like my money, cause I can't afford to waste. Wifey is a lawyer, take my date to my dates. Order steak by the plates and it